3:42 a.m. The refrigerator hums. You are not asleep. You are staring at a ceiling you have memorized, tile by tile, crack by crack, stain by stain. Your body is arranged in the exact geometry of someone pretending to rest. One arm thrown over your eyes, one leg bent at the knee, foot flat against the mattress, ready to launch you upward at the first sign of dawn or disaster or the next item on a list that regenerates itself like a hydra the moment you strike one head from its neck. You reach for the phone. You do not want to reach for the phone. The movement is mechanical, a reflex bred from years of believing that if you are not monitoring the world will collapse into chaos. The screen blinds you. 3:42 a.m. The numbers glare at you with the smug indifference of digital time. And then, before your eyes adjust, before the blue light has finished etching its temporary tattoo into your retinas, a name arrives. It does not knock. It does not text. It does not call. It simply kicks the door of your consciousness open and stands there, dripping with memory, tracking mud across the clean floor of your carefully maintained present. A name you have not spoken aloud in months, maybe years. A name that belongs to a voice you have not heard, a face you have not seen, a presence you have systematically filed under resolved or expired or not relevant to current operations. You are Virgo. You are excellent at filing. You are a master archivist of your own pain. You have color-coded the loss. You have alphabetized the absence. You have told yourself, with the firm authority of someone who manages chaos for a living, that this chapter is closed. But chapters do not stay closed when the book is still being written. And tonight, the book has opened itself to a dog-eared page you thought you had torn out. You know exactly who I am talking about. Do not pretend otherwise. Do not perform that little mental dance where you cycle through 3 or 4 names before landing on the right one, as if your hesitation could disguise the fact that your heart has already identified them with the precision of a biometric scanner. You know, the body knows before the mind consents. Your stomach has already tightened. Your breath has already shifted into that higher, shallower register that you associate with subway platforms at rush hour, with unread messages from family members, with the precise moment before someone says, "We need to talk." That name is not a memory. It is a living signal, and it is broadcasting on your frequency tonight because the distance between you has finally become unbearable for the person on the other end. Not a lover. Or maybe, but not necessarily. That is the first thing you need to understand. This is not the script where the ex crashes back through your door with roses and regret. This is not the soulmate narrative. This is something dirtier, more complicated, and in some ways far more dangerous to your equilibrium. This is a person who knew you before you became this version of yourself. They knew you when your edges were softer, when your standards were lower, when you laughed at things you now consider immature, when you wore clothes that did not match, when you spoke without rehearsing, when you allowed yourself to be seen without first editing the rough draft. They knew you in a season of your life that you have since redacted, and their silence has been the only remaining witness to that draft. You have spent years building a city on top of the ruins of that earlier self, and they are the last person who still has the map to what lies underneath. They are awake right now. I need you to feel this. They are not asleep. They are not dreaming of you in some abstract, nostalgic haze. They are conscious, vertical, possibly sitting on the edge of a bed, or standing at a kitchen counter, or staring at a cursor, blinking in an empty message field, and they are holding your name in their mouth like a pill they cannot swallow. The room around them is different from yours, maybe warmer, maybe colder, maybe messier, cluttered with the evidence of a life that did not prioritize order the way yours does. But the atmosphere is identical, the same thickness, the same static, the same sense that something which has been dormant for too long is beginning to crack its shell. You have not spoken, not a word, not a like on a photograph, not a birthday text fired off at 11:58 p.m. out of social obligation, nothing. The silence between you has become its own language, a dialect you are both now fluent in without ever having studied it. And like any language, it has evolved. It started as awkwardness, then it became etiquette, then it became armor. And now, tonight, it has become a prison. The walls are pressing in on both sides, and one of you is about to start digging. I want you to remember the last conversation, not the content. The content is irrelevant now, dissolved into the acid of time and reinterpretation. I want you to remember the temperature. Was it hot? Was your face burning with the injustice of being misunderstood? Was it cold? Did their voice drop to that register of finality that made you feel like you were being slowly unhooked from a machine that had been keeping you alive? Or was it worse? Was it polite? Was it the kind of ending that masquerades as maturity, where two people agree to take space and focus on themselves with the full knowledge that space, once taken, rarely gets returned? You have replayed that conversation. Do not lie. You have replayed it while driving, while showering, while folding laundry into perfect rectangles. You have adjusted the lighting in your memory. You have given yourself better lines. You have imagined their face softening at a phrase you never actually said. You have used that conversation as a torture device and as a sedative, depending on the day. But here is what you have not allowed yourself to know. They have replayed it too. More than you, with less editing, with more shame. This person is not coming back to ask for forgiveness. They are not coming back to offer it either. Those transactions belong to a simpler story. They are coming back because they have reached the end of a road that only makes sense if you are at the other end of it. They have built a life, or a version of one, and they have discovered that the foundation is missing a load-bearing wall. That wall is you, not because you are indispensable to their happiness in some romantic, codependent fantasy, but because there is a truth that only exists in the space between your two specific chemistries. A truth about who they are. A truth about who you were becoming when you knew each other. A truth that got frozen in amber the moment you stopped speaking, and they have been walking around with a phantom limb ever since, pretending they were whole. You need to understand the mechanics of what is happening to them right now, because if you do not understand it, you will misread the signal when it arrives, and it is arriving. They have been preparing for weeks, maybe months. The preparation has not been conscious. It has been the slow accumulation of small recognitions. A song in a coffee shop that punched them in the sternum. A stranger wearing your cologne, your perfume, your specific shade of indifference. A dream where you spoke a sentence so ordinary. Did you remember to lock the door? That they woke up crying because the ordinariness was the point. They have been collecting these moments like evidence, not to build a case against you, to build a bridge back to you. And tonight, the bridge is almost complete. They are drafting a message right now in this exact temporal window that we are sharing, while your ceiling stares back at you and their cursor blinks against the white void. They are writing and deleting, writing and deleting. The first draft is too long. It explains too much. It has the desperate architecture of a manifesto written by someone who has not slept. The second draft is too short. Hey, thinking of you. It is cowardly. It pretends that the chasm between you is a crack that can be stepped over casually. The third draft is angry. It demands to know why you never reached out, why you let the silence calcify, why you were so willing to become a stranger. They delete that one too, not because the anger is unjustified, because they know with the same certainty that you know that the anger is a disguise for grief, and grief is too vulnerable to send without a shield. What they will eventually send or say or show up with is something you cannot predict. That is the nature of broken silences. They do not follow the script of the conversations that preceded them. They arrive sideways, through a mutual friend who mentions your name in passing and watches their face collapse, through a package in the mail with no return address, containing an object you forgot you lent them, or they forgot they stole, or that simply existed in the shared space of your former intimacy, through a voicemail left at 2:17 a.m. that they will claim was an accident, though nothing is accidental at 2:17 a.m., through a LinkedIn view, a Spotify playlist, a photograph posted from a location that only has meaning if you remember the conversation you had 3 summers ago about wanting to see that exact view. And when it arrives, you will freeze. You will feel the old pattern try to reassert itself, the pattern that says you must analyze before you feel, the pattern that says you must determine their motives, cross-reference their behavior with past data, calculate the risk-to-reward ratio of reopening a channel that you sealed with such deliberate, painstaking care. You will want to know what they want before you decide what you feel. You will want to protect the infrastructure of your current life from the earthquake of their return. You will want to control the narrative, manage the expectations, ensure that you do not lose ground you have spent years reclaiming. Do not do it. Not yet. Not tonight. Tonight, I need you to let the name sit in your mouth. I need you to say it out loud, in the dark. With the refrigerator humming its one-note lullaby and the city outside your window pretending to sleep, say the name. Let it be awkward. Let it be too loud for the room. Let it reveal how long it has been since your vocal cords shaped those particular syllables. Notice how the name does not fit the same way it used to. It is tighter or looser. Or it has developed a flavor you do not recognize, like water that has been sitting in a glass too long. That dissonance is important. It is the proof that you are not the same person who last spoke that name into being. You have changed. They have changed. And the conversation that is coming will not be a reunion of old friends. It will be an introduction between 2 strangers who happen to share a complicated past. You are terrified of this. I can feel it. Not because you are weak, but because you are precise. You know exactly how much energy it costs you to reorganize your emotional architecture, and you have no evidence that this person will not arrive with a wrecking ball disguised as an apology. You are afraid that they want something you no longer have, that they are coming to collect on a debt you did not know you owed, that they have preserved a version of you in amber, a version that was more available, more forgiving, more willing to absorb their chaos without invoicing them for the damage, and they will be angry when they discover that version has been decommissioned. You are afraid that you will say yes out of habit, that the old choreography will kick in before your new boundaries have time to assess the threat, that you will find yourself at a table you swore you would never sit at again, ordering the same drink, laughing at the same joke, falling into the same step like no time has passed, while some quiet, essential part of you screams from a locked room in the basement of your psyche. These fears are valid. They are not paranoia. They are the earned wisdom of someone who has done the work. But they are not the whole story. The whole story includes this. They are not coming back to take. They are coming back to give, to deposit something that belongs to you, a recognition, an acknowledgement, a piece of information that rewrites the final chapter you have been carrying. They have realized, through whatever crucible they have endured since you last spoke, that they misread you, not in a small way. Not in the way that can be fixed with a casual, my bad. They misread your silence as indifference when it was self-protection. They misread your standards as coldness when they were the only heat you had left. They misread your departure as abandonment when it was the last brave thing you did in a situation that had already exhausted every other option. And they need you to know that they know. Not because you need their validation to survive, you have built a perfectly functional survival without it, but because the truth is a stubborn thing. It insists on being witnessed, and you are the only witness who matters. They have something to confess, not a crime, not a betrayal necessarily, though for some of you there was that too, but deeper than that, they need to confess that they saw you. Really saw you in a way that no one else in their life has seen them or you. They saw the machinery behind your performance. They saw the exhaustion under your competence. They saw the child in you who was still trying to earn a place at a table where the seats were never fairly allocated, and they did nothing. They watched. They took notes. They benefited from your generosity without ever fully acknowledging its cost. And now, years later, in the solitude that only arrives after the noise of youth has faded, they are haunted by that inaction, by the specific, crushing weight of having been seen by someone and failing to return the favor. They are coming to balance the ledger, not because you asked, but because the ledger demands it. Because some accounts cannot be closed by time alone. They require signature. Yours. I want you to imagine the meeting. Not because it is guaranteed, nothing is guaranteed, and your Virgo soul hates that more than almost anything, but because imagining it prepares the ground. Do not imagine the restaurant. Do not imagine the coffee shop. Those are stages. Imagine the threshold, the doorway, the moment before the hug or the handshake or the awkward half wave. Imagine the smell of them, not the perfume or the detergent, the smell underneath, the smell of their skin that your reptile brain recognized before your frontal cortex had a name for them. Imagine the way your body will know instantly whether they have done the work or whether they are still performing the same old tricks in a new costume. Your body will know before your mind has finished processing the visual data. Trust it. Your body has been keeping the score while you were busy filing the paperwork. And imagine what you will say. Not the script, the truth. The truth that you have been rehearsing in the shower, in the car, in the mirror for longer than you want to admit. The truth that starts with I instead of you. I was hurt, not you hurt me. I needed you, not you failed me. I am different now, not you ruined me. This is the grammar of liberation. It does not require their agreement. It does not require their apology, though one may come. It requires only your willingness to speak your own experience into the space between you and not flinch when the echo returns. Some of you will reconcile. The conversation will be the key that turns the lock, and the door that opens will lead to a friendship, a partnership, a collaboration that was always meant to exist but needed the fire of absence to forge it into something durable. Some of you will close the loop. You will receive the confession, offer the forgiveness or the acknowledgement, and then you will walk away with a lighter step, the name finally filed where it belongs, not under active threat or unresolved trauma, but under completed. And some of you will realize with the clarity that only comes from looking into the eyes of your own history that the silence was not a wound, it was a boundary. And the boundary needs to remain. You will say what needs to be said. You will hear what needs to be heard. And then you will return to your life, your city, your ceiling with its familiar cracks, and you will let the silence resume, not as a prison this time, as a choice. All of these outcomes are correct. There is no universal destination here. There is only the imperative to stop pretending that the silence is neutral. It is not neutral. It is a current. It is moving under the surface of your life like a river beneath ice. And tonight, the ice is thinning. You can feel it. That is why you are awake. That is why the name arrived uninvited. That is why the refrigerator hum sounds different than it did last night. Like it is harmonizing with a frequency you cannot quite name. They are going to reach out. I am not predicting. I am reading the current. I am telling you that the pressure has reached the point where the dam must either break or be deliberately opened. And the person on the other side of your silence has run out of the strength required to maintain the pretense that they do not care. They care. They care in a way that has kept them awake. They care in a way that has ruined songs for them, ruined certain streets, ruined the taste of specific foods that you once shared. They care in a way that they have not been able to replicate with anyone else, not because you are irreplaceable in some cosmic exclusive sense, but because you are the specific person who was there during a specific season, and the alchemy of that exact combination has never repeated itself. They have tried to find it elsewhere. They have failed, not because other people are lesser, because chemistry is not a transferable asset. You need to prepare your house. Not literally, though if dusting helps your nervous system, by all means, dust. I mean the house of your expectations. Clear a room. Make space for a conversation you did not schedule. Stop telling yourself that you are too busy, too healed, too far removed from who you were when you knew them. You are never too far removed. The self is not a linear progression where the old versions are deleted. It is a palace where every room you ever occupied still exists, and tonight someone is knocking on a door you thought you had sealed. You can ignore the knock. The palace will not collapse. But some part of you will always wonder what was standing on the other side, holding its breath, waiting to see if you would turn the handle. They are holding something. I keep seeing it. Not a card, not a flower, something specific to your shared history, a book you recommended that they finally read, a recording of your voice they found on an old phone, a photograph they took of you when you were not looking, when you were laughing at something they said. Your face unguarded in a way. It rarely is your guard down because for one moment you felt safe enough to be ugly, to be loud, to be unedited. They have kept this object. It has traveled with them through moves, through relationships, through the slow erosion of everything else they thought they valued. And they need to return it, or they need to show it to you. or they need to tell you that it exists, that you were seen in a moment when you thought you were invisible, and that the seeing changed them in a way they are only now beginning to understand. This is not about romance. I want to be clear. Romance may be there humming in the basement like a generator, but it is not the main event. The main event is recognition. The main event is the end of a misreading. The main event is two people who once mistook each other for characters in their respective dramas, finally seeing each other as authors. You wrote them into your story as the antagonist, or the lost opportunity, or the cautionary tale. They wrote you into theirs as the standard they could not meet, the presence they could not hold, the love they were not ready to receive. And both stories are wrong. Both stories are children's drawings of a cathedral. The cathedral is still standing, and you are both about to walk inside and see what it actually looks like, stone by stone, shadow by shadow, in the adult light of who you have become. Do not answer immediately when they call. Do not reply within the 30-second window that your anxiety demands. Let the message sit. Let the voicemail breathe. Let the email age for a day or two, or however long your soul needs to remember that you are not obligated to perform availability for someone who once took your presence for granted. You are not a convenience store. You do not have to be open 24 hours just because someone has finally decided to show up at your door. Let them wait on the threshold. Let them feel the weight of the silence they helped create. This is not punishment. It is calibration. It is the reestablishment of a rhythm where your response time is determined by your own processing, not by their urgency. And when you do answer, when you do sit down across from them or hold the phone to your ear or read the words they have finally found the courage to arrange, listen for what is underneath the text. Listen for the tremor. Listen for the pause between sentences where the real communication lives. Listen for the moment when their voice cracks, not from performance, but from the specific fatigue of carrying something unspoken for too long. That crack is the door. That is where you meet them, not in the polished version of the conversation they rehearsed, in the crack, in the imperfect, human, exposed place where truth actually happens. You are going to be tempted to fix them, to offer solutions, to organize their emotions into actionable items. Resist this. You are not their therapist. You are not their life coach. You are the person they wronged or neglected or misunderstood or simply grew away from, and your only job in this conversation is to be present and honest. If they cry, do not hand them a tissue and a 5-step plan for emotional regulation. Let them cry. If they apologize, do not rush to absolve them because their discomfort makes you anxious. Let the apology hang in the air until it has been fully heard. If they ask for more than you can give, a second chance, a fresh start, a return to what was, do not contort yourself into a pretzel of people-pleasing to avoid disappointing them. Say the truth. I can meet you here. I cannot meet you there. And let that be enough. The conversation will not resolve everything. Do not expect it to. Some silences are so old that a single conversation cannot fill them. They require a series of conversations. They require time. They require the slow, tedious work of rebuilding trust, not through grand gestures, but through consistency, through showing up, through proving that the person who disappeared has been replaced by someone who stays. And even then, even with all the good faith in the world, the relationship that emerges may look nothing like the one that existed before. It may be thinner. It may be more formal. It may exist only in the occasional text, the yearly coffee, the acknowledgement at a distance that once upon a time you mattered to each other in a way that still echoes, or it may be fuller, deeper. Stripped of the pretenses that made the earlier version unsustainable, you cannot know yet. And the not knowing is part of the work. What I need you to hold on to in the hours and days after they make contact is this: their return does not invalidate the life you built without them. The strength you found in their absence is not a consolation prize. The friendships you deepened, the boundaries you established, the routines you crafted with your own two hands, these are not placeholders for their eventual return. They are real. They are yours. And if this person re-enters your orbit, they must enter as a satellite, not as the sun. Your gravity is your own now. You spent too long orbiting other people's needs to surrender your center again. They are going to tell you something that rearranges the furniture, a fact, a confession, a piece of news that recontextualizes everything you thought you knew about why you stopped speaking. It will not be what you expected. It will not fit the narrative you have refined in your private rehearsals. It will be stranger, sadder, more mundane, or more shocking than your imagination allowed for. And your first instinct will be to rewrite your entire history with this new information, to tear up the old script and start again. Do not let the new information coexist with the old. Life is not a Wikipedia page that requires a single coherent narrative. It is a palimpsest, layer upon layer. The new truth does not erase the old pain. It simply adds dimension. Let it add dimension without demanding that you retroactively forgive or retroactively blame or retroactively become someone who would have handled it all differently. If only you had known you did not know. You did what you could with what you had, and that is still true, even in the light of what you are about to learn. The message is coming, the call is coming, the knock, the text, the email, the accidental encounter in the produce section of a grocery store you do not usually frequent. It is already in motion. The universe does not send warnings like this without following through. The name in your mouth at 3:42 a.m. is the thunder before the lightning, and the lightning is already traveling through the sky, moving at the speed of overdue recognition. You do not have to be ready. Readiness is a myth invented by people who think they can control the timing of their own healing. You only have to be willing, willing to hear, willing to speak, willing to let the silence end not with a bang, but with the quiet click of a door that has been unlocked from the inside. And now I am going to leave you, not with a blessing, not with a benediction, not with the warm assurance that everything will be beautiful on the other side of this conversation. I am going to leave you with the dark, with the refrigerator humming its one endless note, with the name still hanging in the air like smoke from a fire you did not light, with the ceiling above you and the city beyond your walls and the absolute, terrifying, exhilarating truth that something is about to happen that you did not plan for, did not schedule, did not approve in advance. The screen goes dark, the room settles, the silence resumes its watch, and somewhere in another room, in another city, under another ceiling with its own cracks and stains, a finger hovers over a button. The rest is not written yet.